Hi, my name is Brenda Cecilia Padilla Rodríguez, or just Brenda. I am an academic at the Autonomous University of Nuevo León. This is a large public higher education institution in Mexico. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the evolution of distance education in Mexico and how we moved from printed magazines to digital learning. So first, tell me, what comes to mind when you think about the 1920s? Your answer may depend on the region of the world you come from. Maybe you think about the style and the fashion, or about the music, the jazz, or the movies, the arts. This is all fair. But in Mexico at the time, we were going through a very different historical moment. In the 1920s, we were at the end of the Mexican Revolution, which is a time when we fought against a dictatorship. On the screen, you can see images of what people used to wear, people who fought used to wear. This was a very chaotic time for the country, but eventually the dictatorship was ended, and the new government had the task of putting our affairs in order. And one of the big challenges we had was education. So tell me, what percentage of the population in Mexico do you think was illiterate in 1921? For reference, at the time we had a population of about 14 million people. So I'll let you think for a second. What percentage of the population in Mexico do you think was illiterate? 85% of the population was illiterate. They didn't know how to read and write. This is a lot. And just for you to be able to get a sense of what was happening, this is a map of Mexico, so you can see how big it is. So right now, we have about 126 million people. In 1921, we had 14 million people, give or take. So what is the implication? We were very widespread. So these 14 million people were usually located in small, isolated communities all throughout the country. They were usually farming communities. If you're struggling to get a sense of how big Mexico is, you can see at this other map, where you can see the size of Mexico in comparison to other European countries. So you can see that it is way bigger than the UK. And for reference, the UK at the moment has about 67 million people. Mexico has about 126 million people at the moment. So we have about double the amount of people. So we have a very vast territory. So this was a big challenge. We had 85% illiterate people, mostly in remote, isolated communities, devoted to farming. So what to do? So one of the first strategies that the new government tried was radio education. So we did have some radios in the communities. So the government thought, well, we can make some educational content and just share it by the radio. And this had some success. But there were some challenges, like the frequencies changed. And more than that, it was soon evident that we needed teachers. So in this scenario, who would teach? So maybe whoever knew how to teach, or whoever was familiar with best teaching practice, or whoever was passionate about teaching, or at least had an interest in teaching. Well, not really. In this scenario, whoever could read and write was the right person for teaching, because we didn't have much else. At the time, if a person knew how to read and write, they were the only candidates to be teachers. And this was the start of distance education, because we needed to find ways of teaching teachers how to teach. And this is how it all started.